Hi, this is Rebekah
and Leslie
with the Geeky Girls Night In podcast. Geeky Girls Night In is a podcast with your fandom family sleepover style.
Empowering fans and creating inclusive fan spaces where we can all be ourselves.
So get your jammies,
grab a drink,
gather the fur babies,
and join the conversation.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back.
Hello, everyone. I hope you guys are doing well.
Thank you for joining us.
Yep.
This week, we've got a lot.
Yes, we have a guest this week. We have Melissa Slaughter. She's a fellow podcaster of the podcast We Are Not All Ninjas. It's a movie review podcast focused on Asian American representation in Hollywood films.
And she's so sweet and funny and darling, and you're definitely going to want to hear the interview. Yes,
it's all about Doctor Who, so I hope you'll stay tuned and listen to a little bit of that.
And even if you don't watch Doctor Who, we're coming back with a new season, a new Doctor, new companions. Now's a great time to jump in, so if you've ever been like, what's that show all about? Stick around.
Yep, and I'm one of those. I've never seen Doctor Who except for bits and pieces, so it looks like I'm going to have to check it out. So let's get it started. Mm-hmm. What you got to drink? What you drinking?
Oh, I'm boring today. I'm just water. I had a headache today, and I was like, I just need water.
Well, see, I was going to be fancy, and I was going to, because I went to the apple orchard this weekend, and I was going to have my heated little apple cider, but 20 minutes before we started to record, I had stomach problems.
Oh.
And stomach problems plus apple cider do not equal a good time. And it's too hot to have anything warm. Even where I'm at, it's usually freezing, but I'm quite warm. So I just have a Diet Orange soda.
It is hot. It is. My son went, so it's homecoming week at the high school here. Mm-hmm. And my son went to the homecoming bonfire rally. It is so hot here. They were just people were just crawling over the fence to get away from the fire. He's like, last year it was cold. People were warming their hands, having a good time. This one, they're like, oh God, can't even have a homecoming bonfire. It's too hot.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
So I'm going to kick it off with our Week in Geek. I just wanted to let you guys know that we have 3 really good articles over on Geeky Girls Guide to Life. Quinzel has been writing her butt off.
Yay, Quinzel. Quinzel's the best.
Thank you. So, just in time for Wizard Fest, there are some Harry Potter quotes that she's really digging right now. And if you don't know what Wizard Fest is, go over to the blog and find out, because I think we talked about it a little bit with Two Squares podcast, but that may not have been on air. So, go ahead and check that out. And then she talks about... Another post is, what bag are you wearing to Wizard Fest? Because, you need some ways to carry your wand. Oh. And then, also, very important, comics and chronic illness. How Ava from Ant-Man and the Wasp perfectly described my invisible symptoms.
Very cool.
So, yeah, if you're dealing with a little bit of disability, maybe you can find some common ground in comics. Mm-hmm. So make sure you check that out and tell her that we sent you.
Love it. And drop her a comment so she knows you're reading it. Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
She would love that.
Yeah.
So, and also in other news, past few weeks I talked to you about the calamities that I've had with my PC or my gaming laptop, RIP, and the file server here at my house. Everything's back up. We're running at full steam, but I'm using used computer parts on pretty much everything except for my solid state drive. I really want a PC case that represents who I am, and I'm super ultra Girly. Mm-hmm. That's just me. That's who I am. If I could wear a dress all day, I would. Mm-hmm. But I'm also in IT, so I'll be crawling under things, so I can't wear a dress all the time. But help me find a case. So I have a list of cases on our Geeky Girl Night In Facebook page. Just 4 or 5 of them. And I would love for you guys to comment on what you think, what you like, what you don't like. Greatly appreciated. Keep in mind that this PC is used for gaming, so they're going to be a little, I want to say high end, but they're all not really that pricey. I think I have 1 or 2 in there that are kind of eyebrow raising pricey. So But yeah, just take a look and tell me what you think. My husband looked at one and he's like, that's doing the most. And then he thought about it for a minute and he's like, well, you frequently do the most. So maybe it's a good case for you. So I'm like, hey, I can't quite decide. And for some reason, computer parts in me, it feels like a life or death situation. So I would really appreciate your input. So there's that. I'm still reading. I'm still chugging along with books that I'm reading. I'm still trying to get through Long May She Reign. That's that book I told you where she was 35th in line to be royalty, and then everybody died.
Yeah.
So I'm still struggling with that because she's so awkward. And so I started a new book, and it's called Island Beneath the Sea by Isabel Allende. And it's about slavery, and it's heavy. It's very, very heavy. Slavery in Haiti, actually, and French and the revolution there. And it tells the story of a slave, and she's had 2 children, and by happens 2 children by her master. And by happenstance, she gets to keep one, but one ends up free as a free biracial person. So I'm only about 50% through this book, and so far it's focused on the slave and her story, but the book is supposed to talk about the 2 kids at some point, so I think we're getting to that point. But it's so heavy that sometimes I have to lay that down and read something else. And I want to talk to you about Susan K. Quinn. Susan K. Quinn is an author who's a literal former rocket scientist.
Ooh.
Right. That's what she did. So I learned about Susan K. Quinn. I get a newsletter daily. I think it's like Free Booksy. And it gives me a list of free books that are currently free on Kindle.
Okay.
And so, like, her book 1 of her Singularity series was free on Kindle. I immediately read that and then bought all the rest of her Singularity books. That's how good it was. Right now, I'm reading a book by her called Open Minds. It's the Mind Jack series. So I want you to think for a minute. I want you to close your eyes and I want you to think for a minute.
Okay.
Imagine you hit puberty, all right? And all of a sudden, you can hear thoughts, but not only that, everyone else can hear your thoughts.
Ooh, yikes.
Right. But here's the thing.
Okay.
That's normal. That's normal in this world. And if you don't have that, you're known as a 0, and nobody trusts you. You're a freak.
Really? Boy, we have to have some thick skin to get used to hearing what everyone thinks about us.
Right. And
I don't want to know what people think about me. I don't even like what I do.
Right. So, and the thing is, like, it happens in puberty for the most part. From what I'm reading, it doesn't specifically state it happens in puberty. It's just, it seems like around that time. And you use that time in high school to learn to control it. Like, if you touch somebody, their voice becomes stronger in your head. Like, you can hear their thoughts. They can hear your thoughts very strongly. That's why touching is not very much done. There's, like, no public displays of affection, no hand-holding in high school. Right. So, because none of this happens. So the story focuses on this girl, and the girl thinks that she's a 0. Turns out and I'm not giving away any of the plot because I haven't gotten that far in the book yet. She is not a 0, but she's not a normal person. She's a mind jacker. They can't hear her thoughts. She can't hear theirs. But she can focus her mind and, like, push through them and then hear their thoughts. Like, so she's in their mind. And with that, she can force them to do things.
Yikes.
Right. So she's like, oh, holy shit, I don't want this. I just want to be normal.
Well,
and a dude in her class ends up having the same thing. And he's trying to teach her how to control it. And he's trying to make her understand, you know, if you want to be seen as a normal person, as like, you know, you can hear thoughts, they can hear yours, you're going to have to mind jack everyone you come across. And like basically force your thoughts onto them and make it seem like they're listening to your thoughts. You can't like
that sounds kind of creepy.
It's creepy, it's invasive, and like it's a lie.
Yeah.
But she wants to be seen as normal. She's gonna have to do those things. Now, I'm not to the point yet whether I figured out if she's doing those things or not. She's tested her abilities a little bit, and of course, there's gonna be a love triangle. Like I'm not even like a third through this book, and I already see it. So we're gonna see how that goes. I bring this up because Open Minds is free right now on Amazon. Like I don't know how long it's been free, but it's free for right now. The first book of the Mind Jack series. So I think you guys should check this out. And also I'm gonna put a link in the show notes. If you go to this, it's her website, and it gives you like a video trailer of the book. So it's really cool. Her Singularity series. I think you'd like her Singularity series too. So it would be back in our day. So
well, I love psychological thrillers. I love all that stuff. So
right. So like in 2018, something happened, and people were able to push their consciousness to like almost a machine type situation. And so they were able to push their consciousness, like I'm trying to remember how this worked, to a machine, and then like they got new bodies as a result. So like they have these built robotic bodies, but they look like human bodies, but they're better, they're beautiful, they're disease resistant. So at that point, everybody and their mama in 2018, let's just say 2018, had the choice of whether to stay like they were or to ascend. And a lot of people chose to go up, and a lot of people chose to stay.
Interesting.
But it got to be so crowded that they cut it off. So, like, if you ascended, your family ascended. Like, your future generations, they ascended. But if you didn't, y'all stay down on Earth in raggedy cities that these ascended beings have kept kind of okay for you, and it's barely enough for you to live off of and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but here's the deal. Like, if you're down here, you still get cancer. Yeah. You still have heart disease. You still die. People that have ascended don't. Yeah. So, it is so good. Like, just like the main character is just trying to figure out a way that he can ascend. Because if you ascend, there's a contest, and if you win the contest, you and your family ascend. And his mom's got cancer. So.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's something to check out.
Okay.
And then in new books that I am not reading. So do you know what urban fiction is?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to give the listeners a quick definition because I want to be precise. Urban fiction, also known as street lit or street fiction, is a literary genre set in a city landscape. However, the genre is as much defined by the socioeconomic realities and culture of its characters as the urban setting. The tone for urban fiction is usually dark, focusing on the underside of city living. Now, let's talk for a minute.
Yeah.
So I've been seeing these absolutely ridiculous book covers for probably 2 weeks now on my Facebook.
But like on ads, or people sharing them to laugh at them, or
people are sharing them to laugh at them, and I'm going to read you some of them. 5 Star Lit presents Sleeping with My Baby Daddy's Boyfriend.
Okay.
Hold on. There's more. Let me just pull him up right here. That's his tongue, and that's creepy.
Quan Mills, right? When you Let's see. Your grandma, my side chick.
Yes, your grandma is my side chick.
When I saw you put it, I looked him up. This hoe got roaches in her crib.
Yes, this hoe got roaches in her crib. Hoe, your breath stank.
Mm-hmm.
This hoe eats chitlins. Like, so I didn't know if these were real or not because, like, somebody made these. And so I started to look, and apparently he uses the covers as, like, eye-catching material, so you'll pick up his books, but it's not really what the book is about, thank the Lord. So, but they are absolutely ridiculous. Like, the one I won't be reading Quan Mills. I'm sorry.
No, he says at the top he's been accused of misogynoir and stuff, and I assume, like that, you know. I mean, I looked on his Twitter, and I mean, he has like 900 followers. Not like I don't think he's super, influential, but he's certainly getting a lot of eyeballs on his book covers.
Yeah, they're going viral because, like, people, like, now please stop sharing the book covers. They're so horrible. They're so bad. And but, like, he shared a preview of one of his books, and I've read urban fiction before, and it's typical urban fiction, and it's not good. Mm-hmm. It's just, like, it started out with the dude just beating the girl. Just please no. No. So I won't be reading that, but I wanted to talk about that for a bit.
I don't blame you.
Yeah. So, D&D thoughts. So, you know, the past few weeks, ever since Gen Con, I've been on here, and I've been kind of whining. Want to learn how to play D&D. I don't have nobody to learn how to play D&D with. Uh-huh. I'm socially awkward. I don't really talk to a lot of people. So, you know, I'm sitting at work the other day, and I thought, self, why don't you just run a how to play D&D thing yourself? Mm-hmm. So I talked briefly with Two Squares podcast, and they would be down for the cause. So that's 3 people.
Are you talking about in person or online, or what do you?
In person.
Yeah, because I don't think you. Yeah. Okay.
So there's 3 of us, 5 if you include their boys, and I think the boys are old enough to play. And then if they go, our friend Denise will probably go. So that's 6, and then her son. So that's 7 people.
That sounds so fun.
Right. So here's what I'm thinking, and it wouldn't just be for us. I'm thinking of trying to get together a POC learns to play D&D, and I've sort of reached out to, like, one of the gaming stores here. I did it on Twitter. They haven't responded. I'm going to shoot them an email probably tomorrow to see if this is something that they're interested in, and maybe they could bring in some people that could teach us how to play, how to make character sheets, things like that. And then while I was thinking about this, like, we could hold another session for people that want to be DMs, and somebody could talk to them about how to be a DM and how to be a good DM and what needs to be done. So I'm working on that now.
Sounds fun.
Yes. And then as far as gaming goes, I haven't done a lot of gaming this week, hardly any. But have you heard of Leisure Suit Larry?
I mean, the name sounds vaguely familiar. It sounds like a Simpsons character.
You're thinking of Disco Stew.
Oh, yeah, probably. Yeah.
Leisure Suit Larry is a kind of a misogynistic video game, and I remember,
fun.
Like, it's old. It's an old character, and first of all, I didn't know it had as many games as it did. I think it said like 12 or 13 itinerations of the game. Last time I played it was probably like in 2003, 2004, somewhere in there. My roommate at the time had it, and I didn't play it. I just watched him play it. And, like, Leisure Suit Larry was talking about bukkake, and I was like, you know what? This is not for me.
Yeah.
So, Leisure Suit Larry is back. They're creating a new game for him. He's learning how to date in the year of 2018, and like they have an app within the game that's similar to Tinder. I forget what it's called, and you're supposed to work on that and get dates and stuff. So I've applied to get like the beta testing of that. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay.
And then Super Seducer to Advanced Seduction Tactics. Oh my gosh. So the PR firm, because I don't really know how PR works. Like, I sent them, so that they're not thinking that they're just sending me free stuff and I'm not doing anything with it. I sent them, my review on the podcast of this. They sent me back an email. They thanked me, and they said they howled laughed at me, and I'm like, "Don't miss me," but whatever. And they sent me a follow-up email after that, and they're like, "Well, we just wanted to let you know that the interracial dating one that you were scared of has gotten some pretty good reviews, and here is an article to it." So I read the article. People seem happy about it, and I will be sharing that article in the show notes.
All right. Nice.
So, and then as far as YouTube goes, as you guys know, our podcast is on YouTube with closed captioning, so you can read. But we also want to put videos out on there. And my friend Caitlin was an absolute goddess, and she let me borrow her GoPro so that I could take it on my cruise to Cuba. And
nice. Which Caitlin? So is it one of the Caitlins I know?
Yep.
C or K?
C.
I love them both, but just...
So we, we're testing it out because I know that there's a bit of a learning curve with a GoPro. So we tested it at the Apple Orchard yesterday, and I'll be working on getting some of this stuff up on YouTube, on our channel. So make sure you check it out and let us know. And eventually when we do go to Cuba, that entire trip will be on YouTube as well.
Nice. So cool.
And, yes. And then finally, this is kind of a work in progress type situation, much like the D&D thing. I'm working on a Discord chat room for the podcast. I will let y'all know when there's some more information on that, because as of right now, I got nothing.
Okay.
Except that it's there.
But you're out there doing it. You're working on it.
I am working on it.
Nice.
So
cool.
That's it for me.
Well, I do not have much for my Week in Geek. I'm going to let y'all know about how the Tello Films contest went. But first I want to say everybody is going to cons without me. And I don't appreciate it. I don't approve of it. And I didn't give permission for people to be having fun without me at cons. So this past week, EHCon, the Erper Homestead Con in Canada happened for Winona Art Fandom, which looked amazing. Also, Salt Lake City Con happened. And I was seeing, Osric Chow, who you guys know I adore. He was on Supernatural. He went there and he saw one of my favorite people, CB Lee. She's an author. And he went to her table and met her, and they have a cute selfie up. She wrote, I think her most famous book is Not Your Sidekick. It was so much fun to see the two of them having selfies together, but of course, I wanted to go too. Speaking of Osric, Kakashi versus Obito, the live-action short, drops the first trailer, and he is in that, so that's super cool. He's a big anime fan. And then I wanted to tell you guys a 99-cent sale right now on a book. It's a fantasy book. It is called The Star Host. I saw it because CBD tweeted it. Okay. And it is LGBT, it's YA, and it's 99 cents, and she said it's amazing. So it says, Ren grew up listening to his mother spin magical stories about star hosts and mythical people possessed by the power of the stars. That's so cool. So when Ren is forced into slavery by the despotic ruler of his home planet Fief, he's stunned to discover firsthand that his mother's folklore surrounding the star host is true, and he is one of them. So that sounds very cool, and I actually picked that up.
That does sound fun.
So he has technopathic abilities, and him and a fellow prisoner they, while navigating the growing attraction between them, they must plan their escape. So, look, sounds really awesome. It is now on my Kindle, so.
Yes.
And
Sounds
then,
good.
so I've been talking about the Tello Films, which is a streaming service for lesbian content. And they've been going for about 10 years and really just building up a lot of quality LGBT female content. And they had a contest for if you make a pitch, and then they will make a TV show with you. So I was chosen as one of the 3 finalists, which was a huge honor. They did announce the winner, and the winner is Joanna Schuster-Craig. And you guys should definitely go check out her pitch. It's called Butchland, 4 masculine of center friends in eastern Iowa navigate love, parenting, and gender, and all phobias in America's heartland. Congrats, Joanna. And Joanna actually, her Twitter is GardenDude2.
Cool.
So, let's see. Yes. So, very cool. So they sent me a very sweet email saying they loved my pitch, and they actually said they would still like to make my show. So I don't, which is super obviously encouraging and wonderful. So I just kind of sent back an email kind of like, okay, what does that mean? Because, if you win, it's more organized, like this is what we're going to do when, so honestly, I'm a writer. I don't super know what I'm doing with anything else. So I'm just going to try to learn. I found some workshops and stuff on directing and shooting things, and so I'm gonna jump in. And it seems like when they chose me for finalist, I definitely felt like either way I won something, because I felt like if they value my ideas and want to work with me, that's a huge step forward in making something happen for my writing career. So congratulations, Joanna, and I'm excited too still about my show. I'm still going to be shooting it, so I'll keep you guys up on that.
Awesome.
So thanks for joining us, guys. Definitely stay tuned for the interview with Melissa.
Yeah.
We have a great time talking about Doctor Who, so whether you love it or you're interested, tune in.
Bye. So our guest this week is Melissa Slaughter, and in a way, it's also Rebekah too.
Yes.
Melissa has lived in all 4 time zones in the contiguous United States. A former actor in Seattle, Washington, she now resides in New York City as a podcaster and blogger. Melissa writes for Nerd Files, The Nerds of Color, and she's the managing editor of HapaMag, an online quarterly focused on mixed-race people of Asian descent. She's also the host and producer of the podcast We're Not All Ninjas, a movie review podcast focused on Asian American representation in Hollywood films. She loves sushi, crafts, and theater, but her favorite thing in the world is Doctor Who. And yes, she's over the moon for a female doctor. So, Melissa, thank you so much for speaking with us today.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Our pleasure.
So, let's start off. What you drinking today?
I am drinking, actually prepped for this, I'm drinking a cold brew Trader Joe's tea. It's the Red Refresh herbal tea. It's like hibiscus and peppermint.
Sounds amazing.
It's so hot in New York that I have to have something, and like the hibiscus and peppermint are so cooling. So I've been living off of this.
It's hot here too in Indiana, and last week it was like 60-some degrees, and I was like, yes, fall is here.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, last week we were talking, because I'm in Southern California, it's like in the 90 degrees here, and I was so jealous of her weather in the 60s. It's gone, huh?
Yeah, it's gone. It's like 88. We went to the Apple. Yeah, we went to the apple orchard yesterday, and I'm just like, it is too hot for this.
I was just walking around today, and it was 82, and I'm miserable, and this is the worst thing ever. It was all in the 70s last week, and it was beautiful. Fall in New York is the greatest, is really what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I know. I get it. So, today's interview, like I said a little bit earlier, is going to be a little different, because it's just me asking the questions today to both Rebekah and Melissa about both of their favorite subjects, Doctor Who.
Yay! I never get to talk about this on my podcast. So
I'm so bummed.
Well, there's no Asians, and it's not a Hollywood film, so there's like nothing I can really do, but
Yeah.
I'm very excited now.
I have seen exactly one scene of one episode, which I told you both. It's the one where Shakespeare is talking to the Black Companion and he calls her Black.
On her.
Yeah, well, like at first he's like, "This is Blackamoor," and I'm like, "Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off."
Of all the scenes to watch, yeah.
That's fair.
It's just how I roll. I don't know. I'm also slow to pick up TV shows. Kim, she's one of the bloggers. She hasn't been on there for a while, but she's one of the bloggers on the Geeky Girl Guide to Life site. And ever since probably 2006, she was trying to get me to watch Supernatural. And I'm like, nah, bro, I'm good. And I think I picked it up right before I had Geeky Baby. So it would have been 2015. So all those years later, and now I've seen most of it. So
wait, so you've seen like 12 seasons in 3 years?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I haven't started it. I won't. It's so much.
You got to realize though. You got to realize I was on maternity leave for about 3 months, and the baby was up at all odd hours. So I would alternate between Supernatural and Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives.
Okay, that's a good combo. That's a combo.
Yes. So just back and forth. When I got bored of one, I'd go to the other. So like I flew through it in those 3 months. So I'm kind of wanting to know if you two can kind of push me into the direction of the Doctor.
Okay.
So let's get it popping. I know that there have been multiple itinerations of the Doctor. There's also like a new school Doctor Who and an old school Doctor Who. Have you guys seen both, and do you recommend watching both?
Have you seen both, Melissa?
I've seen bits and pieces of what's called Classic Who, so that's 1 through, I want to say, 8. And there's definitely some that are really fun to watch. There's Doctors that are fun to go back and revisit. But for a new time Doctor Who viewer, I would recommend not going back. It's very overwhelming, and it also looks very old because it's from like 1960. I know this. It's like from 1966. Nope, that's wrong. Anyway, to now, or it's just not the most enjoyable to watch now without the context of the time period.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think it depends on how much you like camp, because not that the new Who isn't campy, but I think with the old visual effects, sometimes that can be enjoyable for people. Sometimes it can be like, oh my God, I can't deal. I watched both because when I was little, they had reruns on PBS. So
with Tom Baker.
Yeah. So I actually watched all the Tom Baker ones, and that was my Doctor. And I watched it by myself just as a little girl because I had siblings. For whatever reason, they didn't usually watch it with me. And I think I was like in 2nd grade or something. And then, I loved it. And then I got Netflix back in the day when, and it was suggesting a bunch of things to me, and I wasn't like super online a lot or in fandoms yet, but they were like, we think you'd like this, and I was like, what are you talking about? There's a new one. And so they just had this big gap, and then they revived it because it was still a beloved sort of property. And
absolutely,
I think the new Who can be just as campy and corny, or it can be very real and more intricate as well. So
it can be very dark.
It can be anything. The thing is with the format, you can go from like an alien one to like a historical one to like a rollicking Western one. It can be something that's creepy and almost like the Twilight Zone, or it can be, you know what I mean? It's so, because of the format, it's a time travel and space travel format, so it can be literally anything. So it's a good idea to kind of just try a couple,
Okay. Now, I feel like this is kind of an important question.
Yes.
Who or what exactly is Doctor Who?
That's a great question.
You can take this one. Go right ahead.
The Doctor is a Time Lord who is now over 1,000 years old, and he's from this planet called Gallifrey. So he really is an alien who travels through time and space. He's also kind of a cad because when he started traveling, he stole the TARDIS, which is the blue box, and the TARDIS had a mechanism called the chameleon switch that won't turn on, and that's why it's always a blue box. The chameleon circuit, that's what it is. So he's an alien, but he also has this affinity for humans, and so he always goes back to Earth, and he feels really protective of Earth. And they're the eyes of the audience. They're the everyman who are seeing all of these different planets and galaxies and pasts and futures and robots, etc. For me, the crux of the show is always the relationship between the companions and the doctors. And when I say companions, I don't mean like Firefly companions. I mean like...
That's so funny you say that, because since I watched Firefly, I always like giggle a little bit when I hear it, because if you're a fan of Firefly, you're like, companions. Have you seen Firefly, Les?
I have not, no.
So a companion is like a super, super fancy hooker.
Yes.
Oh, wait,
it's a high-end escort.
I've seen that, because, like, I've seen parts of Firefly. So, like, there's a super, super fancy hooker on his ship, yeah? But they're not together.
Right.
Correct.
So...
That's called a companion.
Right, but they call them companions because that's how they, like, differentiate the, I guess their... level of
the hierarchy.
Right. And so, like, if you've seen Firefly, they don't mean that a prostitute is traveling with it, which there'd be nothing wrong with that. But they just mean like friends,
Gotcha.
But a companion in Doctor Who is more like an assistant.
Yeah.
Okay, so from what I know about Doctor Who is that he wasn't, like, I know he regenerates, but wasn't he only allowed to regenerate a certain amount of time? And isn't he past that?
Do you want to take this one?
I'll be honest, I get a little... When it comes to Doctor Who, I will be honest, I suspend all belief. I just let go. Because depending on who's the showrunner, they can retcon stuff. They can do things you're like, wait, wasn't that... So I choose to ignore all of that, and he will, and now she will regenerate as many times as they want. Basically, that wasn't something they planned from the beginning. The original actor became ill, and he wanted to leave. He became terminally ill, actually, and he wanted to leave, and so they decided, well, we're just going to do this regeneration thing. And inadvertently, I think it's worked. I can't think of any other show that does anything like this, that just regularly replaces the main character. But it's actually perversely, I think, worked in its favor, because you've got a show that's been on and on, off and on for like over 50 years, and because they're able to kind of hit that refresh button. And if you don't like the current Doctor, like... my son, he's 16, and he doesn't care for the latest Doctor, and I think it probably has more to do with the writing and, a lot of other things.
Ooh, I want to talk about that.
Yeah. But so he's excited about the new one. So you can kind of jump in anywhere. So like Leslie, you could jump in here. You know what I mean? Because it's like a full reset. So it's always the Doctor and then the companion, and because it's kind of been established that the Doctor needs humans. Like, he needs a human to keep hold of, to kind of help him remain in touch with everything that's good about him.
His conscious.
Right. Because he's very, he's a very good alien. I was going to say person. But, he's seen a lot, and he's been around a long time, and it's easy to kind of stop caring, and it's good to have that human that kind of grounds him and kind of sees him when he's going off the chain. And so it's kind of the two of them. And often when they reset the Doctor, they'll reset the companion as well. They'll go and he'll meet someone else.
And they'll sometimes reset the showrunner, which is what's happening now, which is what makes this actually kind of the best time to go back and watch like 5 or 6 episodes of the other Doctor and then just start fresh with the new one. Because with the changing of the showrunners, the whole vibe changes. There's a lot of repeat, like, offender writers or directors, so the show maintains a very similar kind of construct throughout, but it does really help that they can kind of refresh their writing group and their head writer.
Because I do think you kind of run out of ideas, too.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, this question, so because I have friends that are into Doctor Who, I know bits and pieces, and I ignore a lot of it because I don't know what's going on. But a name that comes up often, and I don't know her name in the show, I guess this is her real name, is Billie Piper.
I love this so much.
I know, right?
Why does everybody always talk about this young woman?
She's great.
Well, I think she was the first companion with New Who, and I think
She was.
I think your first is always going to be, more special to a lot of people. I'm not like a Billie Piper, Rose. She's not my favorite companion, but I think a great number, maybe even most people, it's their favorite companion.
Okay.
And I don't know. Do you have anything you want to say about that, Melissa? Because I have mine, but I'm not like I'm not like a big Rose is everything fan. So if you are, you might want to take this one.
I really love Rose. She's not my favorite companion. Donna Noble's my favorite, but I mean, yeah, Rose is the first. Rose also is one of the few that got to kind of transition between Doctors because she was with the 9th Doctor and the 10th Doctor, and she's met the 11th Doctor in a future episode. No, that's not right. She met a different Doctor, but that's another thing. Anyway, but she's kind of crossed all of these different Doctors throughout the series, and no other companion has got to do it as much as she has. I love Billie Piper generally. I had her CD when she was like a teen pop idol in the UK. I had that when I was like 9 years old. And then I also love some of the other shows she's done on BBC. So I just love her generally. Rose is also very divisive, though, because throughout this show, there's this thing where companions fall in love with the Doctor on and off, and it's one of the things I don't like about the show sometimes. But the relationship she has with the Doctors and the romantic relationship that comes out of that, I really love. And people are like die-hard shippers for Rose and Ten sometimes.
Yeah, I mean that romantic relationship was a big part of it. I mean, of course she's a lovable character, but I mean they pretty much, most of the companions are pretty lovable, but I do think besides being heroic, her and the Doctor fell in love, and people really, really, really get invested in that. I mean, it was a whole thing.
Gotcha.
That episode where it's a lot. The episode where they like do the thing and fall in love, and it's heartbreaking. So you know.
I'm an emotional wreck anyway, so I'll probably cry. I
cried during this whole show.
Just sit there and bawl. Like, everything's fine. I cry. So you guys mentioned that. Well, Melissa, you mentioned that sort of a romantic relationship happens with almost all of the companions, or like the companions like kind of fall in love. And I know that, well, actually I don't know, have all the companions up to this point have been women?
No.
Okay.
There's like different tiers of companions.
Gotcha.
But I would say like the main tier of companions have all been women, but there's a bunch of men in the secondary and third tier of companions. Because
there are some companions that will show up here and there, but they aren't in like every episode for almost every episode the whole season. So I think, because entertainment and media has always been in the control of men, white men in particular, I do think, they have traditionally been younger, attractive women. Whereas the Doctor has been any age, because we know men can be any age and have value. But as far as the women, I do think they've been young, attractive women, and so it is played with from here, here and there.
I should mention that there is a companion from Classic Who named Jamie, who is in all has been on and off the show for 30 years in its original run. So, and he was a Scottish Highlander named Jamie. So if you watch Outlander, it's very entertaining.
But I think one of the most popular companions of all time was only in a few episodes, and that was Captain Jack, and that was a man. But I would say, a lot of times they're women. Every once in a while they fall in love, but like Melissa said, there's a very very passionate feelings about that in the fandom, one way or the other, to the point where I even see sometimes what I feel are the writers reacting against that, like I feel like it affects the writing of the show. Like, so for example, and I don't know that we've super addressed the format yet, like every episode of saying can be something different. They're traveling, they're finding people who need help, they're finding adventure, they're doing all of this stuff. But I do think when, with Peter Capaldi, so I felt with, okay, we'll start with Matt Smith. So when he was a young iteration of the Doctor, and his companion, at that point, Clara, the second companion with him, I don't know, I felt, and a lot of other people felt, sometimes the romantic or flirtation angle with Matt Smith was very forced. Because, and I think there was a bit of a backlash, and so I feel like when Capaldi came around, I feel like they made extra effort for him to be mean to her and not be attracted to her.
Oh, wow.
That's so interesting.
Like, that's the way I saw it, because, first of all, I felt like everything flirtatious, Matt Smith is actually my favorite Doctor. But I did feel like, I mean, I love all of them, to be honest, but, and of course, I mean, they all kind of had their own little special place in my heart, but, I felt that he played the Doctor very almost asexual, or seeing him in, or even gay, I don't know, but when, like, River Song and the other women, whenever she kissed him or flirt with him, he seemed very flaily, like, very awkward, very, like, put off. Like, to me, it never seemed exactly, I don't know, it felt a little bit forced to me. And so I felt like with Peter Capaldi, it was like, all these jokes that she's ugly, or like, I don't know. I felt like they went overboard. So sometimes I do feel like that tension manifests a bit in the show. And you would see, like, for example, after Billie Piper, she was the first New Who, and they fell in love. They really went out of their way to make sure we knew that Donna was not going to be a romantic interest. But they did it like in a very funny, joking way. Like,
but they also did that because of Martha.
Martha, oh, that's such I love me some Martha. Yeah. I mean, Martha came on after Billie Piper, and people, when they fall in love with that romantic relationship, they're really like defensive and pissy about the next companion because she's also young and beautiful, and they don't want to feel like, oh, we're just going to throw this romantic relationship away for the next one. So I feel like Martha Jones was kind of got short shrift, and then they brought in the next one, who, I mean, they had a funny joke where he was like, I just want a mate, and she was like, he meant like a friend, and she was like, "Oi, what? You want to mate? They'll be having none of that." And like, it was really funny. So sometimes they address it in a funny way, but it just depends on the chemistry, I think, of the two together.
Okay. And I will add, the guy who was the showrunner most recently, Stephen Moffat, who ran it for, I think, 4 seasons, he really liked the idea of romantic relationships in The Doctor, which is why some of them felt so shoehorned in, because he wanted it, which is also why a lot of people don't like Moffat as a showrunner, myself included. I really don't like Moffat.
He only was showrunner for 4 seasons. Oh my God, it feels like it's been forever.
It might have been 5 seasons, because Matt Smith did 3 seasons.
500, maybe. No,
right?
I said it feels like it's been 500.
Yes, no, truly. Truly.
Yeah, for sure.
None of us are mad at him going.
He's done some good things, but I do think he's kind of run his course. I think it's time for a new one.
Absolutely.
So you guys have spoke on it a little bit. You spoke of the female companions and things like that. And I know that there's other women in the universe other than the companions. So how do you feel about the portrayals of women in Doctor Who? Do you feel like they're just like an add-on? Are they like, do they have their own fleshed out thoughts and feelings? Are they good characters? Are they meh?
I just laughed because the question you asked directly relates to Stephen Moffat and why I don't like him, the guy who was the previous showrunner.
Speak on it.
Yeah, do it. Go.
So Stephen Moffat, before he became the showrunner, wrote a bunch of really great 1-parters and 2-parters in the first couple of years of Doctor Who. including this character River Song, who I love and adore, but he can't write women long-term well. He can only write the great idea of a woman, and he cannot follow through on it. So there's some women who are very controversial, like River Song, where she's, on the one hand, like this brilliant, smart woman who's also crazy and obsessed with the doctor, and her whole being is tied into his, and she's not really, you never see her as a separate person outside of her relationship with him. And that's how a lot of the show wound up becoming with Moffat. I think there were other women in the show who are so spectacular. I love Donna Noble. I actually really love Jackie, Rose's mom. I think she's
oh my god,
cute.
I love Jackie so much. Oh my god.
There's really great women, and there's really great, I think there are really great, like, well-rounded female characters. Like, Amy started as that and then wound up being like a very one-dimensional character in the end, which was very strange. I've never liked Clara, so I'd love to know what you think about that. But
I think as far as, you know, women have always been very central. There's always been great female roles. I think, you know, to me, it's always been deeply problematic that the doctor's never been a woman until now. But I think as far as, there's always been fantastic female roles, and I've always felt that women are respected by the show. But I do very much agree with Melissa with Moffat's run. It's like, and I always felt bad for the actress who plays Clara, because she is darling and talented.
Agreed.
But he seems, I always felt like he was like, okay, pretty and sassy, and that's like the only two words he knew. And like,
that's exactly that's how she got the part.
Yeah, and so he's like sassy. So like pretty for the guys and like sassy because that's what the girls will like. But it's like, it's a very thin, you know, and they do this exact same thing in Supernatural too, but I promise I won't get off on a rabbit trail about that, is that they think in order to make it a strong female character, they need to be just sort of vaguely sassy. And it's not like, it's not a substitute for character development. You know what I mean? Like, for example, Clara, she really didn't have a character. Like, she was different depending on the episode and what, you know, they decided they wanted to write into the plot that week. I mean, you could never get a handle on her personality. And I do think there was somewhat of this with Amy, and I do also think that's why Amy's boyfriend and husband Rory was such a great addition, because he did know how to write men, you know, and so the combo was really fun. But I do think in general Rose was very, you know, I have my feelings about Rose. Like, I think they've gone a few different ways with the companions. One is, you're a regular person, you've got nothing else going for you until you meet the doctor. And then the beautiful side of that is supposed to be, we're all special. It doesn't matter if you work in a shop or if you're a temp, you know. But the off side of that is it can be very like, okay, so they have nothing but the doctor, you know, to make them special. And that's why I loved Martha Jones, because she was on track. She was studying to be a doctor. She was a hero in her own right first. So
she had a lot of agency.
Yeah. And then, so I think they did, at least during that era of Doctor, really try to do a few different approaches. I also really like that they changed the master to Missy, because I think that actress is phenomenal.
I love Missy.
The actress is phenomenal. And that's an example of someone who's not a companion, not a love interest, but just her own character. So I guess the idea is better than what I'm used to seeing in media, but still a bit of a mixed bag. And I'm really looking forward to this next season. That would be my shorter answer.
Me and a friend of mine used to call Clara the Swiss Army knife companion, because it was really whatever you needed that week, she filled that void. Yeah. And eventually with her, there came this codependent relationship with the doctor, where she was also trying to be the doctor. But the way that they played it out was so thinly veiled, and like, kind of like, who cares? And I have friends who love her, and I really couldn't stand her.
Yeah, I think it just depends on but I do think there are so many female characters to choose from that there's going to be multiple that you're going to love if you watch the show. But I do think, but seeing Clara as at the last season she was on, it was like, oh dear God, Moffat, it's time to just move on, maybe.
Truly.
But
I did love Bill Potts.
Bill Potts. Oh my God, I love her so much. Yeah, definitely. But I do want to point out as well, because Leslie, you mentioned the scene that you saw.
Yeah.
Because obviously, besides gender, and then of course we've got sexuality, and we have had LGBT companions, and I think Captain Jack was one that was an amazing representation. That was during the Russell T Davies era, not surprisingly. But Bill Potts, she's lesbian. She's also a great character. But I think probably the weakest link as far as Doctor Who is race, in my view, and you may feel differently, Melissa, but I think, again, it's relative to what we have available to us, right? Because we're just now getting more and more diverse shows and diverse characters. But, for example, being a Supernatural fan, you can find a million things wrong with that show. Bad wrong with it. But the thing is, what are your choices, right? When you look on TV, you start watching what you start watching, and it's not like there's a million of like these beautiful, perfect, diverse shows that handle everything wonderfully. Like there's not too many of those. So in relation, I think it's not bad, but I think it's probably the weakest link. And I think, and particularly the episode that you are talking about, Leslie, they tried to address Martha Jones's race, her ethnicity, the fact that she's Black. I think because it would be weird not to, but I felt like they addressed it in a very, very British way, because I worked for the British Embassy for a couple of years, and I've spent some time there, and they feel very smug about race. They feel like they don't have the same problems America has. You know what I mean? That we muck it up. They just kind of have this smugness about it. Like, oh, you guys, you guys so suck at race and you make a big deal out of it. But, we do just fine over here. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a smugness, a little bit of a dismissiveness. Because when she first gets out of the TARDIS, because they decide to go back in time, she's like, is this going to be weird? I mean, I'm Black, And he's just basically like, do what I do, wherever you go, just act like you belong and no one will question it, kind of thing. And they also showed that there were other Black people around. So like a lot of the media that we show, oh, it's historic, there were no Black people then. You get a lot of that, right? And so on one hand, the good part was they were like, yeah, that's not really a thing. Like there were Black people then, but he's also kind of like, well, just act like you belong. That's what I do, kind of thing. So it's like an attempt, but also kind of a glib dismissiveness. You know what I mean? And
Rebekah, do you think that they updated it and did it a little bit better for Bill Potts? Because there's an episode where they go to Victorian times, and that's when the Doctor says history is a whitewash.
Oh, I think they probably did, because I do think, there's a lot actually that I love about our latest Doctor, as because part of his crotchetiness, Peter Capaldi, he's incredibly talented. Again, it's the writing. I don't think it's his fault at all. But part of his crotchetiness is he is able to say things that are very, very critical and things like that. You know what I mean? He's not. So, yeah, you could definitely kind of put those two together and kind of see that different approach. But I would say that particular episode that you watched, I did feel it was kind of, I'm not, as someone who's not a Black woman, I can't say, oh, this is what it is, But I did definitely see there could be, really? For that episode. But, you'd have to see, I think, longer term to kind of decide for yourself. But it's definitely pretty white. Although this coming up season, the new companions are not white. So
you guys,
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
So you guys do know who the companions are this go around?
Yes.
Oh yeah. It's a Muslim woman. I think if I remember correctly, it's a Muslim woman, a Black man, and an older white man. Yeah. There's 3 this time around. I don't think there's been that many in one shot in a long time.
Yeah. Cool. And I was at Comic-Con and I was in the panel at Comic-Con, just a little brag right here. And the companions do, and so the woman, her name is Mandeep Gill, and the young man is Tosin Cole. The older than them, anyway, white guy, was not at the panel. But they seem great. I'm really excited. The whole panel was clear. Have you seen the panel online or anything? Or did you go to Comic-Con?
I did not.
So they went to San Diego Comic-Con, and everybody but that one of the companions wasn't there. Just the whole.
Jodie Whittaker was there too.
Yeah, girl.
I love her.
Girl, she's amazing. And I know this isn't in response to your question, and I'm just going off here right now, but I just want to let you know that if that panel is any indication, this is going to be freaking amazing. Because they are all on cloud nine, you can tell. They're so excited about what they have. They feel that what they have taped so far is magic, and they can't wait to share it. They're definitely we're really leaning heavy on sort of the hopeful, humane parts of the Doctor, and I think is something we really need right now to see,
Agreed.
And they're over the moon, and they seem like a great cast. The chemistry's amazing, and they're all really, really optimistic about it, so I can't wait to see these companions as well.
That's fantastic. I'm so glad that, because the thing for Leslie, so whenever they do bring on a new showrunner and a new Doctor, the first season can be a little wonky because they're trying to learn all the quirks and everything that they want to write and what's going to work and what's not going to work. So especially with the first woman, there's this pressure where it needs to be the best it can possibly be. So if they're excited, just let it be what it is, and it's going to be great.
Yeah, I think it is easy to do too much when you have that kind of pressure on you, but the new showrunner, whose name I can't remember right now because my brain...
Chris Chibnall.
Yeah.
I love Chris Chibnall. No, I wanted Chris Chibnall to take over when Moffat took over. He was my first one because he had been running this show called Torchwood, which I also loved. Also has its own problems, but I loved it.
I will watch. If you put Captain Jack in anything, I don't care what kind of garbage it is. And I'm not saying it was garbage, but some of the seasons it could be a little. But put Captain Jack in it.
Last season.
Yeah, put Captain Jack in it, and I'm there. I was there yesterday.
Same.
I was saving seats. I had my popcorn. You know what I mean? I'm there. And he worked with Russell T Davies before, so I feel like it's a great combination of someone who is confident about Doctor Who, confident about the story they want to tell, but also it being a sort of a fresh interpretation at the same time. And so I'm thrilled, and I think this is a great time to jump in for people.
Have either of you watched Broadchurch?
Yes.
He's the showrunner and head writer of Broadchurch.
That show is so freaking good.
So I think he's going to take the darker elements that came out of the last Doctor, and he's going to mix it really well with the quirk that is Doctor Who and the camp from Torchwood, and blend it, and just he already knows Jodie Whittaker, so that partnership is going to be so great.
Have you seen Broadchurch, Les?
I have not.
So
I don't watch a whole lot of TV.
So basically, I mean, it's not that widely seen in America, I don't think. Basically, my viewing habits are sci-fi, fantasy, and murder. Those are the three things I watch.
Oh my God, me too.
And Broadchurch is two detectives. One of them is David Tennant. So that's kind of, as a Doctor Who fan, who sort of pulls you in. But you get so much, and I would argue say he's not even the most spectacular part of that show, although he is spectacular. Olivia Colman is just the love of my fucking life. Pardon my French, but oh my God, she's amazing. Anyway, so it's
if she had taken over for the Doctor, how excited would you have been?
You know what? After I have met Jodie, though, I would say they would both have been equally amazing.
Great. I love them both. It's amazing.
Yes, but so it's a murder mystery in a small town, and it's very sort of dark, and then they've had another season. But it is an incredibly well done show. It's one of the best shows. So the fact that someone who did that show, just the talent and it takes to hold something together like that is really amazing. I would never want to write a mystery type show because it's too hard. It's impressive.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Side note. David Tennant will always be known as Barty Crouch Jr. to me. Creepy Barty Crouch Jr. That's just that's who he'll always be, even if I watch Doctor Who.
That's
creepy
Oh,
bodyguard.
no, just watch him. Just watch him. He's
That's
so
legit.
great. You have no idea.
Well,
He's
I
my
mean,
favorite.
have you seen Jessica Jones, Leslie?
I've seen part of it, and then it got a little intense. So
A little intense.
He's very intense
The
in
first
that show.
episode, there's like a
Yeah.
headshot in an elevator. So
I got to the point where he bought her childhood home, and like,
And then he's wearing that sweater when he walks out of the house.
Oh my god.
yes. So I was like, you know what? And then she went into the speech about how he violated her, and I was like, I'm gonna go outside.
Yeah, it's a dark show. Like, you definitely have to have a lot of, you have to be in a certain type of way to watch that. But it says something about his acting skills, because the first time I watched Doctor Who after Jessica Jones, I just shuddered for the first couple scenes, just like, But he's versatile.
I saw Harry Potter, I saw him, oh gosh, there's this variety show, and Catherine Tate is on it.
Oh my god, they're so cute together.
And
there's so many of those.
She plays like a belligerent teenager.
Yes, she ain't bothered.
Are you talking about the Red Nose sketch where he's the substitute teacher?
Yes.
That's it. And
they were in the middle of their run of Doctor Who together when they put that out.
That, like, I've watched that 150 times. Like, is it diabolic? And I'm like, oh my god. So, like, that kind of
You should watch, Leslie, if you're gonna try it, you should try like parts of their run together then, if you like their chemistry together. Because just
watch the Runaway Bride. It's their Christmas episode. It's a one-off. It's between a bunch of things like that. Yeah. You can watch that in a vacuum and it's totally fine.
And it's, it's got some corny special effects, but
I'm here for corny special effects.
Okay. The villain in that one is kind of like a Power Rangers villain, in my opinion, but
so true.
But
I enjoy Power Rangers stuff.
But it is good. Their friendship that came out of that, I'm such a sucker for that, when cast members are real friends. Actually, I don't know if either of you follow Ijeoma Luo on Twitter. She tweeted she lives in Seattle. They were in town for something. I don't know if it was a con or what. But she saw them in a restaurant, and her 10-year-old son ran up and got their autographs, and they personalized it and were so sweet. So they're having dinner together and being sweet people together. So.
Aww. Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, I'll check out that one episode, and we'll go from there. I'll see if I like that, and then we'll check that out.
Fair enough.
One last Doctor Who question.
Okay.
What exactly is a Dalek?
You go first, Melissa.
You want to take this, Rebekah? Me first? Okay.
You go first. I have my ideas, but I don't want to be unnecessarily, Go ahead.
Right. So, I'm also really big into Doctor Who history, and in the history of the show, the Dalek was kind of presented as one of the first big, bad, scary monsters, and people over time started saying that it looked like a salt and pepper shaker with a whisk and a pleasure for hands.
Right.
And one of
with little Skittles on it or something.
It can't like fly, so it's like just kind of roaming around on the floor, and you can just run up some stairs and it won't get you. Now the Daleks are like, their folklore has been what's the word I want? Kind of like expanded, and they're essentially, I think if I remember correctly, they're humans that have had all other emotions taken out of them, and they've been hardwired only for hate and war, and that happened on a planet called Skaro. And the inventor of the Daleks, and the first Dalek is this man named Davros, and Daleks and Davros show up over and over again throughout the entire season. All of the show, like they're one of the big bads, and I know they don't look that scary, but they really can be, because one of the episodes, Rebekah, you might remember this one. It's when Davros comes back, and it's Missy and Peter Capaldi, 12, and he starts writing in the little in the seat for the Daleks, and I flipped out. I was like horror stricken at the idea that the Doctor was like in a Dalek like box. They're scary.
I think they're very divisive in the fandom. That's the first thing anyone, like, at the panel, people are like, are they going to be Daleks? Because they're very, very, like, I guess, iconic and divisive. Because I was completely on board with these. Oh my god, they are not scary, because a lot of these older villains they did like invent in the 60s when they didn't have any like special effects. So they're like, this little like trash can's gonna roll around on wheels. You're gonna be super scared, okay?
Yep.
And so I was just like, oh god, I'm one of those that's like, oh god, Daleks. Oh god, Daleks,
They're definitely overused.
Well, they've tried. They're not going to be in this next season, by the way. They said they're not going to be next season. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Because you feel like every season and every new writer and showrunner takes a stab at making them scary. And so, like you said, they've evolved this backstory to where they basically represent unstoppable hate, is what they represent. Like, relentless, unstoppable hate. And there's always this thing of with the doctors being a little too extra, it's like, oh, you're being like a Dalek. You'd make a perfect Dalek or something. And you're like,
yeah.
Okay, come on. Like, yes, he killed them all, but they were trying to commit genocide, So, I don't know. I find them funny, though they have actually used them to pretty good effect. I think a couple times they have pulled it off where they're legitimately terrifying, but,
Yeah.
Okay, so Doctor Who questioning is over.
Okay.
So
wait, before we move on, you're gonna try the Runaway Bride episode.
Yes.
You're gonna watch Runaway Bride?
I'm gonna watch Runaway Bride, and I will live tweet it when I do.
Okay.
Yes.
Let us know.
So I promise I will. Probably won't happen till next weekend because it's the beginning of the week, and I have no life during the work week. So. That's how that rolls. Now, Melissa, all these questions, and there's not a whole lot, there's like 5. These are all for you.
Okay.
So, name a TV series other than Doctor Who that you have seen every episode of.
Firefly or Scrubs.
Okay. Give me 3 one-word thoughts on the movie, not the book, Crazy Rich Asians.
Fun.
Okay.
Opulent.
Okay.
First word that came to my mind was cheekbones.
Lots of cheekbones in that movie.
Michelle Yeoh's cheekbones are my favorite part of the whole movie.
I love you so much. You're hilarious.
Suggest a book for us to read.
Ooh, if Rebekah, you said you like murder shows. I just finished I'll Be Gone in the Dark by Michelle McNamara.
Oh, was that good?
Yes, it's very scary. It took me 3 sittings because I wouldn't read it continuously. I had to read it in shots, but it's really good.
The funny thing is I usually read fictional murder, not real. That's very popular. So do the what do they call it? Not real murder or anything. Anyway.
True crime,
because that actually like legitimately terrifies me when it's real. But I've heard that's amazing.
The prose she uses is so beautiful.
And it's such an amazing story. Like this regular woman who's actually doing this amazing like research into this killer. Like, yeah.
So creepy. Okay.
I'm a murderino. I'm a huge murderino.
They caught him. They caught him though.
When I went to the Hello from the Magic Tavern live show, I met up with a group of the fans from Hello from Magic Tavern, and one of them sat next to me and was like, "Are you a murderino?" And I'm like, I haven't killed anybody that I know of.
Yeah.
That's kind of a cutesy name for murder.
Yeah.
She's like, no. I'm like, oh my God, I'm sitting next to a woman who has murdered somebody when I'm just trying to eat my fried pickles. Like, I was terrified, and I know I look terrified. She's like, no, it's a podcast thing. And I'm like, I don't know.
The murderinos, you guys are everywhere. I was on Facebook and I saw a Brooklyn Nine-Nine fan thing. It was like Brooklyn Nine-Nine Nerinos or something. And I just thought it was a cute name.
Like 6 subgroups.
And I just thought it was a cute name for Brooklyn Nine-Nine fan, so I added, and it was like one of the questions they asked was like, what does stay sexy, don't get murdered mean, or something like that. And I was like, oh, it's this murderino thing. Never mind.
Yep. That's my podcast fandom.
Yes, love it.
If you had to recommend someone watch 5 TV series to really get a feel for you and your tastes, what would you pick?
Definitely Doctor Who.
Okay.
Probably Queer Eye.
Okay. New or old?
The new one.
Okay.
Maybe both, but definitely the new one at least. Ooh. Maybe Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Okay.
Probably will say that.
What?
Scrubs, it really is my sense of humor.
Okay.
And Arrested Development.
Awesome.
All good ones.
So thank you so much for coming on today.
Oh, can I ask one more thing?
I definitely know that we're going to have you back. I think we need to do like a giant Buffy episode kind of similar to this because I've also never watched Buffy.
And I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed.
Ooh, I've got a lot of things about Buffy.
Buffy's, yeah.
Yeah.
We could make that a whole entire episode. Just like skip the Weekend Geek and just do straight Buffy for y'all.
Girl. Yeah. So, and also, Melissa, are you going to do a watch party for the 13th premiere?
I don't think I am because it's the day before my birthday. So I'm doing the birthday thing. But I am going to New York Comic-Con and I'm going to try and get into the big Doctor Who panel that is Matt Smith, David Tennant, and Alex Kingston.
Wow.
Cool. Yes. And I've met David Tennant. He's my profile picture on Facebook.
He's darling, isn't he? Isn't he the most darling human?
He's wonderful.
Oh my God.
He's the reason I started watching the show. I watched him in something else previously, and then I started watching Doctor Who, and I'm like, this is my new everything.
He's the most darling, freckled, adorable human in the world, I think.
I absolutely agree. Yeah. So I don't know. I also find it really hard for me to watch Doctor Who in public because I get really into it. And if people are talking or aren't paying attention or like making noise, then I get really agitated.
Yeah.
But I also like scream a lot or start crying randomly. And I'm like, I don't need other people to see that.
Well, I don't know. Reaction videos like that are pretty popular.
I did a lot of them for a while.
Yeah.
But I think we took them all off YouTube. But yeah, I think 3 series worth of reaction videos for Doctor Who and Game of Thrones.
Nice. Well, because I want to try to get more people into it that live near me, so I'm going to do a watch party. I'm trying to come up with 13th Doctor themed food, so we'll see how that goes.
Something with suspenders.
Or, you know what? I started thinking rainbows because the rainbow on her shirt, and I'm like, this is very rapidly becoming a super, super LGBT party, which is awesome. I hope that is foreshadowing.
Me too. And then it also incorporates Bill.
Right? Yay.
Sorry, Leslie. I can't stop talking about Doctor Who. Sorry.
Actually, can I take some time, but can I suggest one thing?
Yes.
One more thing?
Yeah.
We're Not All Ninjas is on a podcast network called Hard Knock Media, and one of the other podcasts on our network is called Who Watch. And in Doctor Who lore, there's the TARDIS, which stands for Time and Relative Dimension in Space.
Mm-hmm.
Who Watch is TARBIS, Time and Relative Blackness in Space. Nice. And it's 3 Black women talking about Doctor Who and how much they love it and what they find wrong and what they find right and all of that. So if you didn't like that Shakespeare Code episode, which is the one scene you saw, and you're still like suspicious, maybe give some of those a listen, and then
that sounds like an awesome podcast.
It's a really great podcast.
Sounds cool.
I'm gonna check it out for sure.
So you mentioned your network real quick. Where else can we find you out in these internet streets?
Oh, so we're everywhere. We're on Spotify. We're on Google Play, iTunes, Stitcher, anywhere you can find a podcast, we should be on there.
Okay, and then what about you? What about your social media?
My social media is frankly not great. You can find most of my stuff actually either at the Haba Mag, which is the magazine I run for mixed race Asians, or you can follow me on Instagram at savage_slaughter. I try and repost things that I write on there. The last thing I wrote was a very long thirst post on Crazy Rich Asians. Where I just made a post of hot Asian dudes who should be in the next one. So look at my profile for that.
Has anybody ever called you Sergeant Slaughter, just out of curiosity.
People do that to me all the time, and every time I'm like, I don't know who that is. And today I saw a Sergeant Slaughter Funko Pop, so I actually remember.
I used to watch wrestling when I was a kid, so like as soon as you say your last name, I'm like, oh. I should say something.
Yeah, I know who it is now, but yeah, I've never seen. I have no other recollection besides that.
Watch some old YouTube videos of his. Like when I was a kid, he used to scare the crap out of me and my brother. So, but because he was like drill sergeant-y, so
that's hilarious.
Yes. So, but thank you so much for being on.
Thanks.
We had a blast, and you definitely have to come back.
It was so nice talking to you.
Let's
do Buffy. Let's do Buffy.
I'll have to rewatch it now.
Yes, do that. Like we'll get a whole thing together. It'll be great.
Okay, great. I love it.
Thanks again.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Since we are podcast newbies, it would mean a lot to us if you'd subscribe and rate us on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Also, we love to hear from our listeners. Leave us a voicemail at 785-746-2604. Email us at ask@geekygirlguide.com or hit us up on social media at Geeky Girl Guide, all one word, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
And remember, in the words of the great John Barrowman, never apologize for being nerdy. Until next time.